how did you get into the ice cream business? Tell us a bit about it.
So it's a question that's it's a long journey to the question, but basically I found my grandfather's recipe book in the 1980s. My mom asked, my grandfather had passed in 1985, my grandmother in 87. So she asked me if I wanted to go down in the middle of break to clean out their house. And I said, sure, in Coral Gables, Florida. And sure enough, I went and we cleaned out the house. He had books from everywhere, and I found his recipe book, and that was the seed that started the journey.
So
That's
were
incredible.
were the original flavors, were they as wild as some of your flavors now, or were they a little, like, what did
So
you find?
it's crazy. He took such great notes. I never found some of the flavors that, at least, look, we taste things. Our taste buds today are going to be different than they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So when I was a child, things tasted totally different. Look, products do change, in a lot of the products like soda, they eliminated original sugar, like kosher pass over time, they'll resubmit the ones with real sugar. So it's hard to say what was I really eating and what I wasn't. Each time they said you can't really compare a person in their generation because it's all different. So that being said, just being true to myself and what I tasted, I felt like I tasted things that I didn't see in that recipe book. That's the truth. Like, there were some flavors that I've tried to replicate, like he did with lychee nut, and I followed it. And look, it could be possible that and I did get some really good lychee nuts. Obviously, Florida's got some really access to some really solid ones, but it's a different ballgame when you're trying to compare your taste buds from the past to the present. But basically, he was ahead of his time in that some of the flavors that he gave us to taste, I never found the exact balance of what he had in the recipes. But look, there's no question now is like a whole different, right now is a whole different era. Now is like, you need to have this kind of food. You need to have something that's ahead of the curve, because people need that. Life is so, after this year of 2020, it's so precious, and everybody wants to live, and they want to celebrate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then you've got your grandfather's recipes. They obviously weren't as cool as what you've turned them into now, but they obviously had great backing. But how did you
lychee nut
actually...
sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good, to be fair. But like, some of the ones that I've researched sound pretty outrageous and pretty cool. How did you actually begin the business? Then you had the recipes, and where did it start from there?
So, first it was a beginning of a lot of it's trial and error. I was walking with my girlfriend in this preserve this past week, and she was asking me, there were times where we would literally it was trial and error. You're trying something out till you learn the process that fits for. He never made cereal ice cream, so till we learned that process of making cereal ice creams, there was a lot of trial and error, and sometimes there were things that really weren't worthy of serving. Just because if the process isn't right, everything could change. It could lopside everything. So you could have the best ingredients, which is this, of course, the start to making any really good ice cream. You need really good ingredients. Don't be skimpy on the ingredients, and that's been our strategy from day one. But then, secondly, it's the process.